Hello everybody, my name is Angry945 and welcome to a boss ranking video. Today in this video we're going to be ranking the top 5 hardest Dark Souls 3 bosses. Now last week I sent a poll on Twitter asking which boss ranking video should I do, and I was initially going to do a worst to best for all the Dark Souls 3 bosses, but I do not have the time for that. Maybe another time, but for now we're just going to do top 5 hardest Dark Souls 3 bosses. Also, this is going to be completely unscripted, so I'm going in dry. I'm just going to say the first thing that comes to my head because I don't have a lot of time left. So as you're seeing on screen is my clips for the Dark Souls 3 boss rush mod, just so I can have a fresh perspective on all the bosses compared to the first time they beat me mercilessly. So yeah, you know what? Let's just get right into the video. Hope you enjoy this video. Number 5, the Demon Princes. Also, I think it's a good time to mention that this is all basically subjective. Like, this is all 100% my opinion on what's hard and what's not. And I'm really comparing it to my recent battle to, like, my first battle with them. And I gotta say, I'm still not good at fighting the demons. Not gonna lie. The fight starts off as that one demon will be glowing, indicating that they'll be fighting you in close combat, while the other demon is dimmer and will attack you using ranged attacks. Basically, the whole first phase comes down to dodging the ranged demon's attacks while attacking the glowing one. However, it's not as simple. After a few seconds, the dim demon will start glowing and it will become more aggressive. Yet, it's not a one-way lane. After enough attacks, the glowing demon will finish with a big fiery slam and it will lose its glow. My advice is to kill the demon in pain first for an easier second phase. Yes, I did say second phase because once you kill both of the demons, the one you killed last will become the Demon Prince. There are some new attacks, all attacks with fire AoEs and new combos. However, if you just stay close and roll under the demon, you can nearly take no damage in the second phase. Now, with this in mind, you're thinking, if the second phase is so easy, why is it in the top 5 hardest? One word and one word only. Toxic. Not only is it tedious to inflict a status effect on a player during a boss fight, but why did it have to be toxic, of all things? The difference between toxic and poison in Dark Souls is that poison takes less damage and doesn't take as long as toxic. Toxic lasts ages, it does quite hefty damage if you don't heal. And not to mention, it can also affect your stamina regeneration too. Well, yes, the toxic has a huge tail, and it's not as if I could just dodge it, but sometimes the demons will just say screw you and just push me in anyways. Not as an attack, but just pushing me in with his little animation. Also, there's a reason I go for Demon Blow last, because the Demon of Pain's second phase is brutal. I do not want to deal with those attacks. So with that being said, the Demon Princes climb their way up to number 5. Number 4, Slave Knight Gayle. Slave Knight Gayle is not only one of my favorite bosses in Dark Souls 3, but he's also one of my most hardest. Now, I know some of you may find Gayle easier than similar bosses like Nameless King, Twin Princes, or Midia. Honestly, I find Gayle to be harder than all 3. Nameless King may have a huge chunk of health in an annoying first phase, but Nameless is pretty docile most of the time and will just shrug whenever I hit him in circle. Plus, the repose damage I do to him is massive. Lorien requires rhythm to dodge his predictable sword swings and slams. The second part is when bullet hell starts with that monkey on his back, but that's the only thing that makes the fight any difficult. Midia may have a larger health bar and more damage compared to Gayle, but Midia leaves you plenty windows to heal or damage his head and doesn't follow up with his combos quite quickly. Plus, the riposte on him takes a large chunk of his HP away, so there's not much to worry about as long as you can dodge effectively and take advantage of the riposte window. Gayle, I would argue, is much harder to dodge though with his speed. In the first phase, he's pretty fast and can rarely leave you reprieve to regenerate your stamina, which is, you know, the one thing you need to dodge. Gayle's aggressiveness and closing speed is enough to make me second guess whether I can heal or not. Phase 2 is actually alright, but just holds him back for the top 3. However, his final phase is the hardest of the phases, and that's what elevates him to this list. His combos are fast enough to make me struggle dodging them, and there's also lightning in the arena, making you have to mind your positioning as well. I got lightning on the forehead a couple of times in the third phase, leading to many near-death experiences. So with all this added up, Gayle takes the number 4 spot with ease. Number 3, Champion Gundia. Okay guys, have your laugh. I know I was recently talking about Midia, Nameless, and Twin Princes being pushovers if you can get into a little rhythm, yet I have Champion Gundia on my top 3. Despite his tutorial counterpart being the first boss and arguably the easiest in the game, what makes Champion harder? Well, at the start of Phase 1, it's the same as the Udex fight, just adding a little kick at the end. However, Phase 2 drops and it's nothing like the tutorial fight. Not only does he get faster and more aggressive, but he has a ton of new moves too. Charges, slams, sweeps, kicks, thrusts, stabs, punches, grabs, leading attacks, lunging attacks, counters, shoulder smashes, and Gundia can mix them all into a single combo if you can't even dodge him correctly. One missed time and you dodge and he can lead to a devastating loss. especially if you wind up against the wall in the arena, which could ruin your camera and watch as your HP bar depletes to nothing. People often compare Gundia to Pontiff Sullivan. You might be asking why he's not on the list. Well, it all comes down to a single detail: parrying. I could parry Pontiff all day and make him the laughing stock of Lothric with my crest shield. Well, Gundia though, I can never get the timing down, and it leaves me to run around till he does an attack that leaves him still, which I don't often do with bosses. Even when I do attack him, I don't know if he could just pull out an attack and counter me. Even to this day, I'll never forget the first beatdown I got with Gundia. I was a fool to think this was going to be exactly like the tutorial fight, and I'll always be one to remember. But even with all this, we still got 2 bosses to go. Number 2, Sister Fried and Father Ariandel. Oh well, looky here, a placement we can all mostly agree on. When I got the game, I was so eager to play the DLCs after hearing the amazing reviews they got, then I accidentally unlocked the Ashes of Ariandel DLC by accident and went to fight Fried early. Well, that was just before I got to my first Lord of Cinder, and you could tell that pretty much didn't end well. I got destroyed throughout the entire DLC, with Fried being a main factor of it. I now come more prepared, and even then, I still get nervous when facing her and Ariandel. Let's start off with how the fight works. The first phase is the warm-up for what to expect in the later phases. Sister Fried uses basic side swings, combos, and a terrifying invisible attack. If you can't track her during when she's invisible, she'll lean in close and you won't be able to react fast enough to stop the attack unless you're a reflex god, which I am not. Also, Fried has some insane speed, not just in attacks, but in movement too. This is like Bloodborne here. When you dodge her attacks, she'll play the no you game and dodge your attacks too if you try to counter. That's only the first phase. The second phase, Ariandel lets out a soul-crushing scream, which sounds brilliant by the way, and sets everything on fire. Now it's a 2-on-1 battle with the lightning-quick Fried and the big lumbering Ariandel. Now the main strategy of the fight is to ignore Fried and deal the damage to Ariandel. However, Fried will harass you with ranged ice magic, and she can also just go in close and yeet you. Fried will also heal Ariandel if his HP gets too low. You can either go backstab Fried and stop the healing, or if you have enough damage, you can outdamage the healing. The second phase mainly revolves around beating Ariandel while avoiding Fried, but it's not over yet. After luring you into a false sense of security, Fried has one last encore to show. If you can't use backstabbing, prepare for the fight of your life. Fried's combos are insane. Her damage skyrockets. She has a few more attacks, different configurations to old attacks that keep you at range, and has range attacks to stop you from healing as payback for phase 2. What holds her back from the number 1 spot is that if you know how to take advantage of her attacks, you can backstab her for an easy win. But you need to draw out those moves first. Overcoming her was not easy, and I can certainly say it's a beatdown I'll always remember. However, there's one final boss that takes the dance floor. And the number 1 hardest boss in Dark Souls 3, NPC Invaders. Okay, the real number 1 hardest boss in Dark Souls 3, Dancer of the Boreal Valley. Out of all the creatures, religious groups, lords, giants, and dragons we take on, it must be surprising that the hardest boss in the game is an assault victim. Sullivan, you monster. People can run around and dance on this boss all day, and I envy those people. The bosses that came before on this list are normally late game challenges where my build is complete and I can tear through basic enemies with minimal effort. However, I fought Dancer in the mid game where some of my stats and preparation was sorely lacking. I did well on the boss rush mod because I had a plus 10 weapon with endgame stats, but this won't fly on a normal playthrough. Because even in the boss rush mod, I barely squeaked out a win against her. Take what I said about the closing speed of Gayle, the combos of Gundia, the stature of Ariandel, the damage of Fried, and mixed that with huge range. It's not just her footsteps that keeping me up at night. Also, watch out for that grab in the first phase. That deals a ton of damage, and if you have a low vitality build like I did in the mid game, it's a guaranteed one-shot. Well, just dodge the grab. I do, but when I don't, the result is very painful. Then there's the second phase, to which I died to more times than any of the bosses in the game. Good news, the grab is gone. Bad news, Beyblade now. The only hope of winning this fight? Cross your fingers and pray to whatever covenant in your worship and hope she uses the attack that you are certain you can punish. I know that, yes, I know the strategy about just hanging behind her and just whacking her backside. But the thing is, she uses a 180 attack that catches me off guard and just destroys me. She easily takes a spot as the number 1 hardest boss in Dark Souls 3, and I wonder if that's a feat she'll ever lose. So that's going to do it for this mini ranking of the top 5 hardest Dark Souls 3 bosses. Let me know who your hardest bosses were. I want to thank you all so much for the recent support my Shadow of the Colossus video got. It means a lot to me that you guys enjoy this sort of content I pull out. I'll do my best to deliver some more boss rankings in the near future. We're in the description which boss rankings I should do next. Again, thank you all so much for watching this video and supporting the channel, and I wish to see you all again soon. Goodbye.